Welcome back to the league that means nothing on Go Again Gaming.
Welcome back to Go Again Gaming, and welcome back to the League That Means Nothing 4. Here we are in round 5. I am your voice of the league, Ian Holland, and I am taking you through some action between Arachne, Slip Through the Cracks, and Prism, Awakener of Soul. Bear in mind, obviously, if you see a Bonds of Agony, this was recorded pre-ban list. The most recent banned and restricted update has removed that card, and, you know, good riddance. But for the time being, it is legal in the League That Means Nothing. I'm not sure how this one's going to go. Prism obviously has Ward, which can prevent the on-hits, but you really want to keep your angels around. Flick Knives interacts with those in a very particularly nasty way. And Slippy has so much evasive damage and so many different things it can do. Only needs to do 32 damage, not a huge amount for an assassin. But is it going to be able to hold off the onslaught of Heralds and Angels? Only one way to find out, and that's by throwing over to the gameplay and seeing where we end up.
This game of the League That Means Nothing is brought to you by the Sigillit Games, a freshly opened game shop coming out of Teignmouth in Devon in the United Kingdom, specialising, of course, in Flesh and Blood as well. So make sure you go and check them out on Facebook. That's the Sigillit Games or the sigillitgames.co.uk.
Okay, and here we have on the left Paul Bundak piloting Prism, Awakener of Soul, taking on Guillaume Harvey Lamar on Arachne, Slip Through the Cracks, leading off with the Hunter's Clave. Looks like has a Mark of the Huntsman equipped as their other dagger, which is a little bit more unique than usual. Prism with very much just the bare basic equipment there. Big shout out to all of our sponsors for making this league possible. Check them out. You can see them scrolling by on the left. A Herald of Protection committed to the block here, blocking the Hunter's Clave. We're going to follow up pitching a blue for Mark of the Huntsman, coming in for 1. On hit, you can destroy it and mark them. Blocked here again with another Herald, this time a Herald of... a War-Tune Herald, rather. And just moving to Arsenal here, putting the daggers back in the correct place. Don't forget, make sure your daggers are pointing away from you, otherwise it is deeply unsafe. Now time for Paul to start throwing out heralds. Pitching a soul shield, sending a herald of protection, so pitching yellow, coming in here for 6, go again. Phantasm, but on hit, goes to soul, make a spectral shield, which will prevent either a dagger or a flick knives, which I guess is a dagger, but that's neither here nor there. Yeah, I'm thinking about this. This one's always a tough one. Do you have the popper? If you do you block out the first herald and risk getting blown out by an angelic wrath? Looks like it goes straight to soul. We get our spectral shield and we get our first prism trigger of the game, allowing us to go search for a figment, which if we so chose could be awakened for free. Probably not going to do that. Yes, figment of erudition, get that on board, make sure it doesn't get accidentally banished to an assassin's effect, create our ponder, allows us to play the last cards in our hand. And here we follow up with a second Herald of Protection, seeing that, yes, in fact, there would have been that Angelic Wrath for the blown out. And again, taking another one. So another search for Prism and another Spectral Shield. And we're getting our Figment of War, creating a Courage token, so that next turn, all set up to just send infinity damage. Now, Paul getting something like, oh, forgot to create his Courage token, that's rough. But Paul getting something like 14 value plus out of 2 heralds, 14, 17. Infinity value out of 2 heralds. You better believe Guillaume better have something crazy coming here. Well, we're going to start with an Orb Weaver Spinneret, which is a lot better usually once you've used up a dagger and a toxicity. And a Kiss of Death, for sure. So this is going to be 6 go again. On hit, you lose a life, and then you lose 4 life from toxicity. Paul needs to block at least 3 to cover this, right? 4. 2 cards left in Guillaume's hand. Could be anything. And even then, Kiss of Death can get flicked. Best bet might be to cover this entirely. It's a tough one though, because Prism does run a not insignificant number of no blocks. And we're going to start with a Soul Shield. So sending 6 to block 6, pitching away a Herald, or a Figment rather. And now we're going to yellow shred this. So the 6 is going to become 3. So we're only blocking 3 here. We could activate Prism to cover this one entirely and just totally stuff this turn. Instead, we're going to take 1 damage from the Kiss of Death, lose 1 life, and then lose life for the toxicity. Followed up with 3 go again. Am I misinterpreting here? Should Paul have lost life for the toxicity? I'm not sure. It looks like. Anyway, we have Pain in the Backside coming in, which will allow Guillaume to stab with that Kiss of Death, as it's a dagger he controls, which has toxicity attached, and also flick Kiss of Death, which has a toxicity attached. I think we're just clarifying, our players just clarifying how toxicity and this interaction works. What a cool card. I've seen a lot of complaints about it, but it is unironically one of the coolest cards in the game. It's so interesting how it works. So it looks like Paul just taking that damage, getting his card in soul. Guillaume drawing up, and now back to Paul. Looks like we're not going to see a long one anyway. Both players just taking chunks of damage. Would not be surprised to see the first thing we get from Paul is a Figment of Erudition flip. Draw some cards, figure out what we're working with, get a little bit of protection in play. But speaking of protection, here comes the Herald of Protection coming in for 7. Go again. On hit, goes to soul, make Spectral Shield. Obviously, should have been 8, but isn't going to make a huge amount of difference. You're going to take the same amount of cards. Yep, taking a full 3 cards off of Guillaume, not wanting any more soul. Paul gets an arsenal, and we're going to pass the turn. Not a lot Guillaume's able to do with 1 card. The best thing you can do is Codex. It's a good chance, yeah. It's just an arsenal pass here, leaving Paul with a full 5 cards to work with, 3 cards in soul. There's a lot to do here. A lot of options. That's one of the things that's so interesting about this Prism deck is it gives you a lot of control over your play. We're going to start by Light of Soul pitching to play Herald, or Wartoon Herald, one of the OGs, and it flips. Ooh, Figment of Protection. Do you want a Figment into your soul here? It does not give you the Prism trigger, but it does fuel your soul. It's got to be a thinker there for Paul. Has elected, by the looks of things, to leave it on top of the deck. 6 taken for Guillaume. Straight to soul. Trigger Prism. It looks like grabbing that that Figment of Protection, making a Spectral Shield. And then we give a quick shuffle to the deck, because it is mandatory. And even though it means nothing, we do abide by the rules here on Go Again Gaming. Now we have 4 cards in soul, and use Empyrean Rapture. We'll banish a card. We've got a free Prism activation. Ooh, and we're going for the Figment of Protection. So looking to generate just a bunch of extra life here. This attack. Ooh, pitch, yeah. Get some of those Figments out of hand. Get that Figment of Rebirth out of there. Attack with Aegis, Archangel of Protection. Coming in for 4, banishing a card from soul, making 2 Spectral Shields. Turns out, not the ideal turn for Guillaume to give up full tempo when Paul was just hanging on to a bunch of no blocks. But now we have Ward 7 on board. 4 coming in here, and now you're in the real squeeze against Prism. You need to kind of hang on to cards, but you need to give up cards. Yeah, giving up a Tarantula Toxin and the Crown of Providence, crowning a card away. Gonna cover 4 here and possibly dig for a 6 or 7 power attack. Looks like we're closing the combat chain anyway. And moving to the end turn. Nothing else to do with the hand. Drawing up, passing Guillaume, holding on to 4 cards here, but has to get through a wall of ward first before anything else happens. So we're going to Savor Bloodshed, +4 to our next dagger attack, and then going to send in the Mark of the Huntsman for 4. If this attacks the marked hero, it gets +1. If a hero is marked because of Savor Bloodshed active, we get to draw a card. However, not really a good spot to do any marking. Letting Aegis and a Spectral Shield just absorb the Mark of the Huntsman attack. Use our Tunic. Attack with the Hunter's Clave. Another 1. Some kind of pump here might get Paul. Like another Tarantula Toxin, maybe. It's kind of hard to say. But it looks like we're just going to give up our Spectral Shield for that. Follow up with this Infiltrate for 3. Obviously has Go Again thanks to Slippy's text. Meaning if this hits and you banish the top card of Paul's deck, you will get to play it this turn. Looks like, yeah, just covered up. The Flick Knives eating the last Spectral Shield. No cards drawn. Oh, we're in the reaction step. Maybe Paul has just elected not to block? No, we're going to Soul Shield it. Just get the value where you can. 2 cards in hand. Yeah. Yellow. Another card to soul for Paul. Things are looking pretty solidly in Prism's favor, with the amount of cards Guillaume just expended to try and clear the ward on board. And now, with Crown of Providence gone, in comes Herald of Erudition. Oh boy, this is what you want to be holding that Providence for. You need that 2 block, because this is now coming in for 5, Dominate, on hit, goes to Soul, draw 2 cards. But it has Phantasm, so importantly, if Guillaume has drawn a Command and Conquer, or I know some assassins are playing Wage Gold, he'll be able to get around this potentially. Otherwise, this could spell very quickly the end of the game. Presenting 5. We've seen Guillaume cover exactly 1 Herald so far this game. Are we going to see a cover of a second? Are we giving up 2? Nope. Oh boy. For those of you who are newer to the game of Flesh and Blood, this is nuts. This is a bad time. As someone who's played a lot against many different Prism decks, including OG Prism, this card is always just reads cover this, block this, don't let it hit you. So things could get bad. Paul gets to trigger Prism and draw 2 cards. I believe you're supposed to draw first, but I can't remember. Yeah, because goes to soul. Yes. So we see Paul is drawn already. Yeah. So for those wondering, yes, you can in fact draw the figment that you are searching, which is a non-zero amount of times has occurred. We're going to get our free Prism activation. Sure, why not? Soraya, Archangel of Erudition. Let's attack again. Draw some more cards. So Soraya attack, draw two. You know they banned the books, right? Those were banned from the game for a reason. Paul, four cards in hand. I wonder what he has to do with it. Because let me tell you right now, you might just end the game on the spot if you drop an Arclight Sentinel. Yeah, taking the 4 damage here, waiting to see what's next. Cool. Closing up the combat chain. Pitching a blue. Sending in this Herald of Protection, coming in for 6. On hit goes to soul, blah, 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 blah. We all know what it does. If you don't know what it does by now at this point in the game, oh, pumping it up to 8. So putting Guillaume to 2, putting Guillaume dead to the Figment of Ravages on board, unless he can 17 Paul right now. A flip of the Figment of Ravages plus an attack will, in fact, just end the game. Passing over to Paul here, from Paul to Guillaume, who has to be feeling a certain amount of hopelessness at this whole prospect. Starting off, we're going to up sticks and run. That's usually what I would do in this situation. A second, up sticks and run. And then Hunter's Clave coming in for 9. Nine, and we have word 5 on board, plus Calming Gesture, plus Empyrean Rapture. Looks like we're going to activate our Halo of Illumination. Pitching a Pierce Reality, putting a Herald into Soul. Going to go, we're just not letting Guillaume have anything here. We're going to find a Figment and probably flip it right now. Yes, Figment of Triumph. So attack actions get -1 power this turn. Cut the deck. And then activate Prism. Flipping Rebirth. So that is Ward 9. Tarantula Toxin going for the +3. Up to 12. Probably for Paul happy enough to take 3 damage. Yeah. I mean, 14 versus opponent who is dead to the onboard trick could be worse. Could be a worse spot to be in, you know? That's Guillaume's entire hand used. Paul is finally marked for the first time this game. Closes up the combat chain. I note there is no Widow back equipment for Guillaume, so let's see what happens here. Does Paul see the line? Plan A is sometimes that your opponent doesn't see the line. Who knows? Maybe he used all of his resources and has a handful of reds. Who can say? Well, yeah. Pitching a Angelic Wrath. Does not see the line. Don't think it matters. Herald of Judgment coming in here for 6. Go again. On hit, you can't play cards from the banish zone. Not super relevant, but hey, it is what it is. Blocking 6. Makes sense to me. Come on, Paul. Come on, Paul. See the line. You can do it, bud. Yep, pitching to awaken Sikem, Archangel of Ravages. Pitching to attack with Sikem, Archangel of Ravages. For 4, banishing a card from Soul, dealing 2 arcane damage, and closing out this game just like that. Bob's your uncle. Easy one for Paul Bundak. Very, very, very good display of how powerful Prism can be. Lesson is maybe more 6-power attacks. Don't let all the heralds hit early game. It's pretty brutal. Even if you think you have the line, maybe you don't quite have it. Commiserations, Guillaume. A tough one for Slippy, especially now that you're all on your way into ban list territory, losing Bonds of Agony. Not that we saw it that game. Big ups, Paul, taking a dub down in the league. That means nothing. It might mean nothing to most people, but to the people of the league, it means a lot. And what else means a lot is making sure you like this video. Make sure you comment down below. Tell Az what a wonderful job he and everyone involved are doing. And always make sure you're subscribed to Go Again Gaming. Make sure your notifications are on so that you get all of the League That Means Nothing to your inbox as soon as it is released. I have been your voice of League, Ian Holland. You can find me at findusspirit.bsky.social or findus_spirit on Twitter, and I will see you in the next one.